Hi there, it's your friend Phil, project management trainer and coach. Today we're going to be talking about troublesome PMP exam questions. We all know those questions, the what should the project manager do type questions. If you've taken enough mock exams, maybe even taken some real exams, you come across questions that ask, what should the PM do? Or what should the PM do next? Or what is the best thing to do if you are a project manager or the project manager? Those kinds of questions. So I'm going to give you a few guidelines to help your thinking, because trust me, when you see those questions on the exam, for the most part, these questions are not what you have seen. They are totally outside of the books you've read. These questions seem to come from outer space. So always solve the problem, PM. If you're given a question, what should the project manager do? The solution is typically the best solution that solves the problem or that solves the immediate need for the client or whoever is asking the project manager to do one thing or the other. Always take some action. Don't do nothing. Don't be docile. Don't say, oh, I can't do anything, so do nothing. No, do nothing is never a good idea. The PM is always in charge. Think about yourself in a strong matrix or a projectized organization. That is the frame of mind in which you need to be when you're answering questions on the PMP exam. You need to be in the power position. You need to be thinking about, what can I do to make things better? So don't do nothing. Don't hold a meeting. Don't do what has already logically been done, because you need to go through the motions. A lot of times they'll present you with answers of what you should have already done before you got to that particular point, or what you have probably already done, someone else has probably already done in a different part of the project. The next big tip is, do not assume what has not been said. These questions can be really slimy at times, and they're written in such a way to steer your thinking in a direction that is not really what is. So you have to be very careful not to assume what the question does not explicitly state. You also need to read all the options carefully. Lots of times, one word could make a difference in an option. Don't go with sweeping statements. What do I mean by sweeping statements? Those statements, you know them, they've got the words all, every, never, and things such as that. You have to be careful for all of those words, because usually those will cancel out all the good things that have been said in that option. So don't choose all, every, never, and so on. Now the next type of question is, the PM inherits a bad project. Or George was a PM on the project and he said he was a PMP, and you found out that he wasn't a PMP. He lied. Now the project that he was managing has a lot of flaws and a lot of errors. The WBS has gone to the dogs. What should you do? You're now the PM on George's project. Sorry, George. A newbie to the project. What should you do, PM, if you're just called in right into a firm? You don't know much about the firm. You're literally getting into the firm on day one. What is the best thing to do? Now, the questions I'm giving you are just examples of the type of what should the project manager do if this happens type question. I'm not saying you're going to get questions exactly like that. So, what should the PM do if the PM is new on a project? Well, the PM needs to catch up. That could be by reading up. That could be by getting mentored, trained, or coached by the sponsor or someone else. It could be doing research. And to answer these kinds of questions, I would recommend to learn page 78 in the PMBOK guide. If you're on a different version, it's the PMBOK guide page that has got all the plans and all the baselines in it. In the 5th edition, it's on page 78. It's got the documents, the plans, the baselines, and everything that's in the project management plan, and the typical things we think are in the plan but are not. But still, those are very important documents to note. As part of your study, I would highly recommend knowing all of your project documents. Know your project documents cold. Know your project management plan cold, and all the subsidiary plans and baselines. Know what they are used for and where they're from. Know your documents and your plans. And that will help you answer questions of that type. Now, When you have questions where there is a problem, what should you do? Should you tell the sponsor? Should you tell your boss? Should you escalate or should you not? How do you know when to escalate? First of all, don't be a crybaby, PM, in the answer. So you don't want the answer that makes the PM sound like a crybaby. Also, you want to solve the problem if possible, and then escalate if the stakes are really high and they affect the customer relationships, or it's something outside of what the project manager can do. You want to do what you can do first, and then you want to invite sponsor or functional heads to gain traction as far as escalation processes and procedures. I would also advise, if you have trouble with a resource on a project, functional heads are probably the best way to go versus the sponsor. The functional heads in a matrix firm would be able to help the project manager get the support needed where resource performance is at stake or something concerning the human resources working on the project is at stake. Another big thing is go with your gut. You cannot underestimate the power of the gut, and if your gut says go with a particular answer, do it. Don't think again, except you have very, very solid proof that what you want to change your answer to is the best answer. I've seen it time and time again. Students come out of our mock exam and they say, I shouldn't have changed it. I came out and looked at it and I got it wrong. It happens 90% of the time. So go with your gut, really powerful. Okay, study far and wide, read up interpersonal skills in Appendix X3. If you have not read Appendix X3 in the PMBOK guide, I highly, strongly advise you to do that, because it's going to help you when you get a lot of these interaction type questions. Read the glossary of terms again. Read it again and again till you have mastered the definitions. If you know the definitions, it will help you understand why they have been applied to wherever they've been applied. Know all your tools and techniques. You want to watch my 1-hour video on tools and techniques. If you Google ITTOs in 1 hour, it should come up with a LinkedIn link for you to click on, or it might just bring up the video. It's there on YouTube, but it's also posted on LinkedIn. Watch that video. I'm telling you, the 2 videos, all ITTOs covered in about 1 hour, 5 minutes. 20 plus minutes for the outputs and inputs, and about 45 minutes for the tools and techniques. Watch it, because it's going to help you like a checklist. Go through rapidly. Do I know it? Do I know it? Maybe I even know it better than I'm hearing it here. Yes, I know it. And if you don't know it, if you're hearing something, you can go read it up. But a lot of times it serves as a catalyst to help you remember really rapidly. Oh, I wanted to read that up. I didn't. So please watch my 1-hour videos for your own good on the tools, techniques, inputs, and outputs. It's really going to give you a massive bang for your buck. Explore relationships. How do you explore relationships? You can use tools like the ITTO tool I'm about to show you here. If you use tools like this to study, this can really help. So what I've done, I've filtered the tools and techniques in alphabetical order, and I'm going through all my tools and techniques and making sure that I know and understand and can define all of these tools and techniques in alphabetical order. Or I can take it out of alphabetical order and put it back the way it was before, which I can't remember, unfortunately. I've scrambled it. Let's put it back to the order it was. There we go. So develop project charter, and then so it's by knowledge area. If I were you, something like this, it will really help you hone in on those troublesome ITTOs. For example, if you're having trouble with the ITTOs, let's say the inputs, let's just search for where we have those deliverables and hit enter, and it shows us, well, there are 3 deliverable types that can be inputs to anything. There's deliverables, verified deliverables, and accepted deliverables, and I can see where they are inputs. Input to that. Accepted deliverables is an input to close project or phase. Verified deliverables is an input to validate scope. I can just unscramble that, and I can go to where my outputs are and just look for deliverables. So you can see where these 3 actually come from. So it shows you that. And if you're not studying ITTOs in this fashion, I would highly advise you to study ITTOs, explore relationships, and study HR, stakeholder and communications, and procurement. Why do I want you to study these? Study them multiple times because there's a lot of human interaction in these areas. This is where all of those nasty executing questions could come from. I mean, you've got acquire, develop, and manage project team from HR. You've got manage stakeholder engagement. You've got manage communications. And you've got conduct procurements. I mean, those are killers if you haven't mastered them. They are obscene. They're horrible. They're terrible. These questions could make people run out of the exam crying. Trust me. You want to make sure you cover HR, cover it inside out. Again, you want to make sure you've mastered interpersonal skills. Anywhere you've got human beings interacting on the project, such as conflict resolution, such as having meetings, all of that stuff, you want to really make sure you wrap your mind around all manner of human interactions on projects, because that is where majority of these things are. So there's a lot of human interaction. Something else I would advise you to do is Google the PMP exam content outline. If you haven't gone through the content outline at least once, you are wasting time. Do it now. Go through all the tasks and everything that is spoken about in the PMP exam content outline. And this is what the content outline looks like. Just Google it and it will come up with this. And I'm going to go really quick to the tables here under the domain. So this is an initiating. The great thing about the content outline is it shows you the tasks that you are expected to perform as a PM taking this exam. That's initiating. Here's planning. You can see they've got a discrete number of tasks that they expect you to perform, 13 of those tasks. You want to read through it and make sure you can actually do what the PMI has in here. I often joke with my students and I tell them, hey, this should be off limits, but the PMI have made it available. It's the blueprint on which your exam is going to be based. And they usually laugh, thinking that, yeah, no big deal. It's out there in the public, so not a big deal. This is a big deal. It's out there in the public, but honestly, this is one of the best kept secrets about the PMP exam and a lot of PMI exams. People don't bother reading the content outlines. They just read the handbook, or they hate the PMBOK guide anyway, so why should they read anything that the PMI puts out? And I just feel sorry for people like that because they're missing out on a lot. So read the content outline, read the lexicon of terms if you haven't, and just cover your bases. This is $555. Why should you waste your hard-earned money? Do everything that you can do before you sit in that room and spend $555 and spend 4 hours of your life. Hey, time is money. And money is also very valuable. Money itself. So do what you got to do. I wish you all the best. If you're looking for a course for the PMP exam, remember, visit www.praizion.com. This is where you will get hand-holding and guidance, and you will have real people who actually care about you passing the exam, about you killing the exam, doing well. One of our students just yesterday sent an email and said, Phil, you're right, that mock exam, yeah. By the way, Phil, 5 proficients. 5 proficients. 5, he knows himself, Sir Avanan, you know yourself. 5 proficients. He killed the exam. He licked it clean. But what I'm trying to say is go with a firm that will stand behind you and give you support and be there in your corner. And if you're going through difficult times and you need to study and you need motivation and you need to talk to a trainer, you need an email to fire you up, to motivate you, to clarify something for you, go to praizion.com. I wish you all the best in your PMP exam. Make sure you kill it.